All rise, court's back in session.
Yes, Ms. Kaplan.
Yes, Your Honor. If I may ask for clarification regarding your ruling in reference to states 175 and 179, the phone call authentication exhibits. Would I be permitted to remark these as demonstratives and publish them as demonstrative exhibits?
And how would you use them?
During the publication of the calls, so that the jury, I've had the witnesses say, I looked at all these calls and I've authenticated these highlighted voices, but as we go through each call, I'm thinking of how I'm going to be able to convey that testimony to the jurors. That, you know, on call O.
Well, I'm going to allow you to have the witness indicate this is a call that was identified by one of these two witnesses as these persons. I'll ponder on whether it needs to be shown as a demonstrative aid at that point in time.
Okay, right. That's helpful. Thank you.
Right. Let's have a jury in, please.
All rise for the jury.
Everybody be seated, please. Hope everybody had a nice lunch. Still appears to be summer outside. I don't know, eventually I guess we'll get some fall. You may proceed, Ms. Kawhi.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rivera. You remember where we left off?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that was when we're now talking about the day after you murdered Dan Markel, the money transfer.
Excuse me, repeat that question again?
We're talking about the day after.
If she'll ask you a question. Let's get to a question. Please,
Okay.
Ms. Kawhi. Right.
Now, your testimony on cross-examination earlier this afternoon was that you never pulled the money out at your apartment in front of Jessica. You did it in the car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you remember giving us a deposition in March of 2019, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you'd agree with me that, wait, hold on. All right. That you provided testimony at that time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm referring court and counsel to, keep moving the pages. God, why do I keep doing this? Hold on, Your Honor.
It's going to be March 22nd.
It's going to be the March 22nd depo. I just have where my notes. Hold on 1 second. I apologize, Judge. I have so many papers up here. There it is. Okay, got it. Stay there. Okay. On page 106. Is the right one? Hold on 1 second, Your Honor. I apologize.
For January 2018.
The wrong deposition. Wrong deposition, Your Honor. So the 2000 and the January deposition on page 106. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Mr. DeCosta. Okay. Starting at line. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting at line 8 to 14. I got a pack right here for you, come get it. I said, don't touch it, I'm on my way. I left the barber shop, went straight over there, I grabbed it. I opened it up, I looked at it, and put everything in my pocket, and told Tuto to get in the car, let's get out of here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you actually pulled it out in front, when you were inside your apartment,
Not in front of Jessica.
not in front of Jessica.
Going out the door. towards the
Well,
car.
Jessica will be able to tell us that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you are positive that when you get there to the house, the people that are there are Catherine McManuel, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Sigfredo Garcia, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Jessica Rodriguez.
Yes, ma'am.
And you described the package as a brown paper bag, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And kind of like the ones I guess that you get like at Publix, that kind of brown paper bag?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Jessica handled this bag, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she should be able to describe it just like you did.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you testified that Jessica did not know what was in this bag, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that at one point she called you and said, I got a bag here, it looks like a brick.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what she meant when she said a brick?
No, it just feel like a brick. It can be just a brick.
Okay. Now, when you pulled up, was Katie inside the house or was she out of the house?
I don't remember.
You do not remember.
Nope.
Okay. But you do remember answering that question in deposition, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get back to that. Now, what car was Catherine driving at the time?
A white SUV.
Oh, you remember that? A white SUV.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the car was parked where when you drove up?
In the back of my house.
In the back of your house, whether it's in a parking spot?
It's like an alley.
Okay. And this was, because you're on the second floor of an apartment complex, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, the other thing that you previously testified to is that inside this brown paper bag, whatever was in there was wrapped up in a clear plastic bag, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And isn't it true that when you walked in, Katie said, "What's up, Tato?" and then went into the room with Jessica?
Yeah.
That's what happened, right?
Yeah, she went to go see my baby.
All right. So then she is now with you. You are now alone with Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it true that Katie said nothing else in your presence?
I left.
Okay, so you can't testify to any statements about Katie saying she even knew what was in that bag, right?
She ain't never said nothing.
She never said nothing except, "What's up, Tato?"
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you testified that when you finally did open the bag, that inside was money stacks.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and each one was it all hundreds?
Yes, ma'am.
All hundreds. And you had mentioned that they were stapled, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember that you specifically told that to the detectives on October 4th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
On the recorded statement that was released to the media.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, on cross-examination and direct, I actually can't remember what you said. Did you say that you counted the money or you didn't count the money?
No, I never counted money.
You
I
never
trust her.
is that your testimony today that you never counted the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you remember telling the detectives on September 30th of 2016 that you did in fact count the money?
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that. All right. Now, you get all this money on this day. How much is it? Like $35,000 in cash?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, you didn't put any of that money in the bank though, right?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
For what? So much money.
It's too much money. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't put money from a murder into the bank?
I never put money from the bank, only for my job.
Okay, but isn't it true you didn't put it in there because you didn't want the police to find out about it?
Yes, ma'am.
That's true, right?
I'm not going to put $35,000 in the bank.
Right? It leaves a trace.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no trace of the money you received from this in your bank account.
No, ma'am.
And you have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Because Coastal Masonry direct deposits your pay into that account.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you stashed this money at a couple places, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Where'd you stash it?
My sister's house,
What's your sister's name?
Maria.
Okay. So you went to Maria Rivera's house, your sister,
Yes, ma'am.
the closest one that you are to,
Yes, ma'am.
and you gave her this money.
I didn't give her, I put it in an envelope.
What kind of
Sealed
envelope?
it. A vanilla envelope. A vanilla envelope, yellow.
Vanilla envelope?
Yes, ma'am.
So white?
Yellow.
Yellow. Like a letter size envelope or like a big size
A
envelope?
large envelope.
Large envelope, okay. Was it sealed?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you put a mark on it?
Nope.
No mark on it. So you wouldn't be able to know if she,
She ain't gonna touch it, she ain't gonna look at it.
okay. Your testimony today is that you remember that you did not put a mark on it, right?
I never put a mark on it.
You did not put a mark on it, okay. I'm going to get back to that in 1 second, just so we can keep moving. All right. Now, so you go over to Maria's house and you give her the money. Do you tell her what's in there?
No,
Okay. Because you don't want her to have any, to be involved in this, right?
of course.
Because that's your family.
Yes.
How long did you leave the money there?
Maybe a couple of days, like maybe 2 days.
You kept any money at the house? Your house with Jessica?
I kept money in my pocket.
In your pocket?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you leave anything at the house with Jessica?
She'll steal that shit. She was gonna.
Are you still together with Jessica now?
No, I'm in prison.
You guys don't talk on the phone?
Once in a while.
Okay, but we'll get back to that in a second. Oh, here we go. All right, so talking again about the mark on it, on the envelope that you say that you did not put, okay? I'm going to refer you to your deposition on March 22nd, page 187. Lines 3 to 10. No, I left it just how it was. You put it in there and handed her the envelope. Was it sealed, like sealed? It was sealed. She can't open it. Without you knowing, without me knowing, she'd have to ask me, can I open this? I got the tape, so once you break the tape and you seal it, you've got to rip it off. So you would have known if she had gone in there. I would have known.
Yeah, if she breaks it, but there was no mark. You said a marker, a pan. You ain't said nothing about no tape.
Hold on. Okay, so that's your testimony today. She could have just opened it and put it in the same type of envelope and you would have never known. No, because whatever I give you, I'm going to put a mark on it, on the envelope, to see if you touched it. So when I get it back, the mark is still there. And when you got it back, was the mark still there?
Whatever I give you, I put a mark to it, but I never put a mark.
But you heard what I just testified
I
to.
heard.
Okay, so those were your words.
Yeah, but I never marked it.
Okay, but your testimony today is you didn't mark it.
Never marked it.
But you told us back then that you did.
I don't remember that. You're reading it right now, but I don't remember none of that. I never marked no.
Okay, but we're going to make it clear for the jury that...
Let's not get into statements, ask questions, Ms. Kowalski.
Okay. You do remember, though, in March, Mr. DaCosta and myself sitting down and asking you questions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You have no... we explained to you what the court reporter did and put everything down that you said, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Another thing I want to talk to you about, since your memory has seemed to lapse.
Ms. Kowalski, we don't need any statements, editorial comments. Jury will disregard the attorney's comments.
Before testifying today, how many times have you met with the state's attorney?
A few times.
And I'm talking about within the past few weeks to prepare you for your testimony today. How many times did you meet with them?
And nobody really got to prepare me. I'm prepared, but I met him a few times.
You're prepared for your testimony today.
I know nothing but the truth. Everything I say is the truth.
Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you were sitting down with the state's attorney, because you testified yesterday that they were showing you some CDs, right?
Yesterday?
You testified on direct that they had shown you some CDs, right?
Yeah.
With the car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So they were showing you their evidence, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But they didn't go over all of your recorded statements with you?
For what?
Because they knew you were testifying today.
I'm going to remember half of this.
You are going to remember after my cross-examination what happened?
I'm going to remember half of this stuff, not everything.
So your memory is going to get better when I'm finished?
No, as you're reading some of the questions, I refreshed my memory. I remember what you had on last week Saturday. Do you remember? I don't remember what I had on yesterday sometimes.
Last week Saturday, I was
Ms.
wearing...
Kowalski,
Okay.
ask a question, please. Jury will disregard the attorney's comment.
But it is fair to say that you are the state's witness in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You knew you were testifying about the events that took place over the past 5 years to date, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask them to provide you with copies of your statements?
Did I ask them?
Yes, you did. So did they read you your statements since you can't read?
Yes, ma'am.
So you read all of the statements that we have been referring to, but you still testify today that you don't remember giving those statements?
You just asked me about the state, and I said yes.
Okay, so what are you now telling me you don't remember?
There's some things I don't remember been happened 5 years ago.
Okay, but my question to you is, the state provided you and read to you all of your statements, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You just testified that when I ask you certain questions, it jogs your memory, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when they did that, it didn't jog your memory?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's fair to say then that you'd agree with me your memory doesn't get better with time.
I don't.
It gets worse.
It
So
get
there's
worse.
no way we're ever going to, that you're going to remember better in the future, correct?
I sit down and think about this. I do, and I remember a few things, not everything.
Okay, but you never reached out to myself or Mr. DeCoste with any...
That's not appropriate. He doesn't have any obligation to do so. He has an attorney that they communicate through. He doesn't have any obligation to talk to the attorneys for the other side. You can proceed, Ms. Kawhi.
All right, so let's go back to it. You gave Jessica money, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You bought Jessica a car, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you gave her $2,000 in cash to pay her rent, right?
Yes, I did.
So she'll be able to tell us that you gave her money.
Yes.
All right. Now, you remember when Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine McBanwell got back together, right?
I don't remember when they got back together.
Pacquiao fight sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay. When was the Pacquiao fight?
I don't remember the date.
Was it close to when you got arrested?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so the Pacquiao, does it sound like May 2015? That's when you were arrested by the feds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and is the Pacquiao fight close around that time?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when they got back together?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were arrested for the Fed case in May of 2015, and eventually you were in the Coleman facility, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, they have TVs in the Feds, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're able to see everything that comes on the news.
Mm-hmm.
And Sigfredo never came to visit you, right?
Nope.
You did speak to him twice, though, while you were incarcerated, right?
Yes, I did.
How'd you speak to him?
To my brother. It was on New Year's, I believe. I called.
Who
And he
is
was in the
Lean
house.
Back?
Excuse me?
Who is Lean Back?
Lean back?
Mm-hmm.
That's a king.
That's a king. Okay. Was he using a specific email address while you were in Coleman in 2016 to communicate with you?
Yeah.
And you would then send him messages to send out to people and text message them, correct?
I don't remember me sending him text messages like that, but I don't remember.
But there was a situation, you could get messages to people on the outside, right?
Yeah, it's to the computer, to the email.
Through the email. And who is Ratatouille?
Ratatouille.
Between you and Jessica, who is the nickname for Ratatouille?
Tuto.
Tuto, okay? As in Sigfredo Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
So you know we have all of the emails that you have from around the time of 2016, right?
Yes, ma'am. Everything in the feds get recorded.
They record everything, right?
Everything.
Do you remember around May 10th, 11th of 2016, Jessica needed some money, right?
I don't remember.
And she asked you to send Ratatouille's phone number, correct?
Object to hearsay and relevance.
Give you a little leeway, but let's bring it to some point pretty quickly.
I'll do it right now.
Sustain the objection.
Did you communicate with Sigfredo Garcia in May of 2016 through that medium that I spoke about,
Yeah,
asking him for money?
I think I did.
Okay. Another thing too, how many brothers do you have?
Got 6.
6 brothers? Okay. But you've known Sigfredo Garcia since you were 5, 6 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
He knows how all your brothers look like?
Of course.
He knows all your brothers.
My whole family.
He knows their phone numbers.
Yeah.
Now, after the news broke on the media Jessica came to see you, right?
Yeah, my mom, my sister, Jessica, they all came to see me.
And when they came to see you, they were able to sit down in the contact room with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have a conversation, right?
Of course.
And Jessica, at this point, had already looked up everything. She knew what the case was against you.
She's smart. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you get to Leon County, you said that your attorney was Chuck Collins, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you happy with Chuck Collins?
I was satisfied.
Okay. Isn't it true that you felt that he was forcing you to take a plea?
Forced me to take a plea?
I'll sustain the objection.
So, let us talk about the deal that you got in this case. Okay? You were charged with first-degree murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just like Sigfredo Garcia and
Yes,
just
ma'am.
like Catherine McBannel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? In exchange for the testimony that you gave today, right?
Yes, ma'am.
They reduced it from first-degree murder to second-degree murder, right?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
To second-degree murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? And then you received a 19-year sentence, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the jury may not understand this, but this is to run concurrent with your federal sentence, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to serve it in the federal facility, not the state facility.
I gotta do my Fed time first.
No, your Fed time first, but your Fed time counts to your state time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's not like you're doubling up, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And which facility is better, Leon County or the federals? The federal detention center.
Of course.
Which one?
The Feds.
They got better food,
I ain't worrying about the food, but it's better.
but it's just generally better, right?
It's better.
What is a minimum mandatory?
A minimum mandatory?
Mm-hmm.
The minimum mandatory, what, of the 19 years?
Well, you don't have a minimum mandatory on your 19 years, right?
No?
If you were, for example, the shooter in this case, and you received the 25-year minimum mandatory in the case, you would have to serve every single day of that 25 years, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If there's no minimum mandatory, you get what we call gain time,
Yes, ma'am.
time off for good behavior.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no probation to follow this, right?
No, ma'am.
Now, Ms. Kappelman brought up in her direct examination that you are facing, well, she said 30, but it's really 15 years on your probation violation, correct?
Yes,
Out of
ma'am.
Miami.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's explore that. You were on probation when you got picked up for the federal case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you just went to the feds, and they kind of forgot about your state case, right?
I guess.
You guessed. Isn't it true that you only found out about that outstanding warrant for the probation violation when we told you in March?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Kappelman didn't even know about it.
No, ma'am.
Neither did your lawyer.
Nope.
And no one considered that. That wasn't even a consideration in your plea.
No, ma'am.
It's your lawyer's mess up, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so the deal you got from the state was just 19 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're a convicted felon, right?
Yeah.
How many times?
I don't know.
You don't know? Would looking at your certified priors refresh your recollection?
I don't know. I don't keep count with this.
Okay, do you want me to go through them with you?
We'll do that as part of the rest, refresh recollection.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
You mind?
And just to clarify, Mr. Rivera, because this is what Ms. Kappelman said, that you had an open cocaine case, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have an open cocaine case.
I don't even know. I don't think so.
The only thing you have pending is the probation violation. You are on probation for selling cocaine.
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't have two separate cases.
I don't think so.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I could take the break for the refreshing of the recollection?
Okay.
Okay.
And let me explain to the jury.
Yeah.
Normally, when an attorney has something they want to call refreshed recollection, we simply give the document to the witness, let them read over it and see if that refreshes their memory or not. Obviously, we can't do that under these circumstances, so we're going to take a break and let the attorney read to them things that they think may refresh Mr. Rivera's memory. Whether it does or not, we'll bring you back and let you hear the answer to those questions. So we're gonna need, long and short, we need to take a short break. All right, Ms. Quast?
Can you hear me, Mr. Rivera? I just don't want to go too loud.
Keep your voice
So,
up.
they won't hear me, right, Judge?
No.
Okay. Okay, so the first thing that you said that you didn't know, I'm going to refresh your recollection with your October 4th statement,
What year?
2016, the one that was recorded. Hold on, let me get out all my. There we go. Just to make it a little smoother. Six. Seven, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
I can play him the video.
Huh? About when he found out about the murder?
Sorry for.
So, Mr. Rivera, do you want me to read it to you, or do you want me to play it for you?
Doesn't matter if you read it or play it. However you feel comfortable.
Here we go. Page 3. Okay, here we go. For council to follow along in the
Quentin,
on 10-4, and this would be on page 12.
all right, just read the reference.
Okay, so on page 12, you had said, in response to questioning, okay, so he was talking in terms of a job in Tallahassee. So I'm thinking we're fixing to go boom, but then like, man, it's not that. I'm fixing to go kill somebody. We're going to go get hired. And this was before you rented the car, and he said before we rented the car. Okay, you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing, where's the other chart? Move that to the side for a second. Thank you.
Somebody said something caused the humming. Let's turn off whatever it is that caused that. Go ahead, Ms. Quat.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Come on, Ms. Quat.
Okay, I'm sorry, Judge. Okay, and then on January 31st in the deposition, on the same topic, you testified page 58, line 4. This was your testimony. You testified that you found out it was a murder on the drive up. You remember that now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Next, we're going to discuss when you found out who was financing the murder, okay? And on 10-4, you had previously stated you don't remember, right? You remember giving a statement in that case, and it was recorded. And on it, you said Sigfredo told you he got the money from the lady, but he never.
Whatever's causing the feedback, fix that, please. Go ahead, Ms. Quat.
Oh, sorry, Judge. I'm just going to repeat what I just said. Thank you.
Page and line, please.
This is page 19 on 10-4. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, and that would be in response, lines 12 to 21. Let's back up a little more, a little bit further. You said he gave him $5,000. Tell us about that. What did he say? Where did he get the money from? He said he got the money from the lady. He still haven't told me her name yet. He said, I got the money from the lady. Okay? You remember telling that to the detectives, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we're going to talk about the picture of Dan Markel, okay? The one that Mr. Garcia showed you. You testified today that you said it was in black and white, all right? So now I'm going to refer you to, well, actually, no, we can skip that because the other people didn't ask you about it, okay? All right, numbers of guns on the second trip is the next topic, all right? So this is only as to the second trip. You testified you did not remember how many guns were on the second trip, or you don't remember what you said. On 9:30, you told the detectives that you only took one gun on the second trip.
Are you reading to him?
Well, Your Honor, it is going to be, I have to ask him if he remembers. If he says, it's Detective Isom's report. So, because they didn't record it, so nothing.
Right, well, read whatever your refreshing
Refreshing.
recollection that is. You read to him what was previously said or written. It can be anything, truthfully, but
No problem.
it's not for you just to paraphrase things.
Understood. Okay, on page 4 of 6 of Detective Isom's statement, his notes from your interview on 9/30 of 2016, he wrote, on this second trip, they only brought one handgun.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Then, on 10/4, you again stated, did you say that there? You again stated on page 67 and 70, you only brought one gun on the second trip.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct? Okay. Now, on January 31st of 2018, page 94, which is the deposition, you stated, oh, and I think we discussed that already. We had discussed that you had said that you had both of them, right? You want me to read it to you again?
On the second trip?
On the second trip, in your deposition on January 31st, you said, Garcia had the gun, the little small one. Not the long-nose gun, question. Who had the long-nose one? He did. He had both of them by his leg. Okay?
I don't remember that.
You don't, even after I've read this to you.
And you've read that in front of the jury already.
Yes,
for
I think, yeah.
impeachment.
Okay,
That's
so-
not what, we're not here to try to repeat impeachment that you've
Understood.
done.
And then the last one we discussed was your deposition with us in March. On page 165, you then said it was one gun on the trip. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, as to the masks and the hoodie, okay? You did not, and I have in front of me Detective Isom's report from 9:30, okay? And I've gone through the whole thing. There's no mention that you said anything about bringing a mask and a hoodie. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then on October 4th of 2016, which is a recorded statement, in that whole 2 hours, there is nothing about a mask or hoodies, right?
All right.
Okay. The first time you mention it is, do you remember, on January 31st of 2018, you told Mr. Garcia that you got, Mr. Garcia's attorneys, that you brought with you masks and hoodies.
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct, okay. And then on March 22nd, you also said again that you brought masks and hoodies.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, as to the owl on Instagram, on September 30th, I have in front of me Detective Isom's report, okay, of his notes of the conversation he had with you, and it's only 5-6 pages. There's no mention of an owl in this report at all, right?
Yes.
You did mention it, though, on that recorded statement, the one on October 4th, when you're sitting down with the detectives, right?
Yes, ma'am.
No, hold on. There was no mention of it at the grand jury testimony?
remember.
Okay, I have a copy of your grand jury testimony.
That's fine.
Okay,
That's not refreshing recollection, tell somebody it's not mentioned, Ms. Kawase.
okay, well, we can put, doesn't remember. Okay. And then on, hold on, Your Honor. And then in your deposition on on January 31st, 2013 with Mr. Zanganeh, you didn't mention anything about an owl.
You said 2013?
That's 2018.
Oh. So repeat that question again, please.
You, in the deposition that you took here in Leon County with Mr. Zanganeh, you didn't mention anything about the owl on Instagram.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, don't remember. Now, Your Honor, may I approach, or I could read to him, I'm sorry, your prior convictions? You said you need to refresh your recollection?
Read them.
Now, you remember being convicted of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, possession of cocaine with intent to sell, possession of cannabis with intent to sell, possession of cocaine with intent to sell.
Slow down, yes. Mr. Kawase.
Yes?
Linda's trying to get this down. You're going a mile a minute. I'm sorry. Start, so aggravated assault, cocaine, possession. What was it?
Cannabis sale. Another count of possession of cocaine with intent to sell. And another count of possession of cannabis with intent to sell. That sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to count that as one conviction. I know it's multiple counts, but for purposes of this, it's one case. Okay? Then you also were convicted of possession of cocaine with intent to sell in 2013, correct?
Yes.
That's two. And then you were also convicted of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, right?
It wasn't a firearm, but yes. It was a knife. They put firearm.
Wait, hold on. You correct me? That's correct. A possession of a weapon. It says weapon, ammunition,
Yeah,
but that's
weapon.
what it was. It was a knife.
A knife. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you were convicted of that.
Yes.
That's three.
Yeah.
Okay? And then, in counting, you are currently charged with, you have the conviction for the Fed case,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And you have the conviction now for the homicide case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so is your memory sufficiently refreshed as to how many convictions you have?
Yeah.
How many?
It's only like 5 or 6.
Okay, 5.
What's that?
I think his memory has been refreshed that he has 5 convictions currently.
All right.
Okay. Oh, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, do you remember if you told, you said you didn't remember if you told the detectives that you counted the money, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. Number 10. Okay. So, right. So, in September 30th, when you had that meeting with the detectives, Isom and Sanford, where they took down the notes the reporter has been showing you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's no mention in here of you saying that you counted the money, right? Oh, wait, no. You actually said in this that you counted the money. You want me to read it to you?
You can read it.
Then he left the apartment, taking Garcia with him. When he counted the money, expecting the total to be $35,000, it actually totaled $37,000.
Now you gave me extra $2,000.
Right, but you remember telling them that you counted the money. That's how you came to that number.
Yeah.
Okay. But your testimony today was you didn't count it.
That's what I said today, yes.
Okay. Okay, and the last thing would be, I'm going to read to you what I was provided for in discovery by the State's Attorney's Office, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is, I'm going to mark it so that we can properly reference it.
Oh, yeah.
While she's doing that, if the state wants to refresh his recollection with anything, I want to get that done now too.
Yes, Your Honor.
We can do the video. The video for the left. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
We're not playing any videos now. Are you through, Ms. Quall?
Just gonna refresh.
You can go ahead and see, Mr. DeCosta.
Okay. I'm going to reference some emails from your CoreLinks account. I'm going to lay the proper foundation first, okay? So when it says from, hold on, let's see here. And I'm referencing, okay, so do you remember what your email address was back then?
No.
But it would say when it says from 07850104 Rivera Lewis.
It's my prison number.
That's your prison number. So that identifies the messages that are coming from you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I have, on this date, an email from you, tell me if you remember this, to BentleySA4980@gmail.com. That's lean back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you basically sent out all these messages to lean back, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then lean back would then send it to people on the outside, correct?
Yes.
At that time, so referencing email, okay, and Jessica Rodriguez's email at the time was sienna.negron1020@gmail.com, right?
Still is.
Still is to this day, right? And in an email referenced, May 10th of 2016, she provides you with the number of lean back as 954-237-9348, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she provides you the phone number for Ratatouille, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That was 786-357-3966.
Yes, ma'am.
And who you said was Ratatouille was Tuto,
Yes, ma'am.
who is Sigfredo Garcia, correct?
Yes.
And the message that you sent out on May 11th, it's like a blast. I'm only going to reference the
What
one that
year? 16?
2016, May 11th of 2016. What's up? It's me, Tato. You forgot about me. I ain't dead. I'm still alive. I need some money brought. Sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. You remember sending that to him from prison. And then
Yes.
he responds on May 12th, what's up, my dog, my brother? I'm referencing defense exhibit number 4. I'm starting to go to school, holding my head up. You know me. Keep your head up and stay in touch with me. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I apologize, Your Honor. From Mr. Garcia, he responds to you, maintaining, it's been a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And then you respond back to him, what's up, my dog, my brother? I'm starting to go to school, holding my head up. You know me. Keep your head up and stay in touch with me. Tell the family I said, what's up, N-word, miss you all. Much love. That's
Yes,
your
ma'am.
words, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you remember saying those things.
Yes, ma'am.
All right? That's all.
State.
I don't have any items to refresh the
All right.
witness.
Let's take a quick 5 minutes, and we'll start back with the jury.